Hello noble ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and if you've been thinking about taking or getting that Disney Plus subscription, well, let me just tell you one thing. Don't. Hey there, welcome back. So today we are talking about Disney and how evil of a company they really are. Now, I've had Disney on my record for a while. I'm just going to open a couple of pages here that I'm going to share with you in a moment. But I've been quite critical of several companies in the last, I want to say, 11 years. Like, for example, as you know, I've attacked Netflix on multiple occasions, and I will continue to do so for every single time that they change or rewrite history for political reasons, particularly when they slap words such as the term documentary on top of something and then proceed to include all sorts of ahistorical nonsense that then as a team we have systematically been debunking on this channel. But when it comes to Disney, I mean, they have been changing things and they have been swapping things for either virtual signaling, political propaganda for a while, but I haven't really been making videos about it. I've only made one video and shared my opinions, mostly because, of course, one thing is history, which is really where I focus on, and the thing that I think is mostly destructive when it comes to the importance of preserving the correct representation of facts, but that of course is on a different plane of importance when compared to Disney princesses, which, I mean, I can find it annoying. I can find it in bad taste. Like whenever they race swap or they change a specific princess, I know they're not doing it because they actually care for real representation or to help out minorities. I've been saying that it annoys me because I know they're doing it for specific reasons that have nothing to do with the kindness of their heart, which they do not even have. But then again, I haven't been making that many videos on it because, you know, it's not as important as history is. With that being said, today we're actually looking at something that is quite different, and it really exposes Disney for who they truly are. Let me show you. As we can read on this article, but I found quite a few, this says, "What happened to Disney? Wrongful death lawsuit explained." Yeah, you read that one right. A wrongful death lawsuit was filed against Disney by a widower in February this year. We're already starting quite harsh. This happened after a wife of said person died after visiting a Disney World restaurant in October 2023. Consequently, many are curious to know more about Disney's recent legal trouble. So already when I came across this piece of information that now a lot of channels, and mind you, on all sides of the political spectrum right now, are attacking Disney, which I think is a great thing. You know, the evil can be a uniting force against itself, I suppose. But I've seen a lot of creators mention this and denouncing this specific situation. And already as a husband, I kind of put myself in the shoes of whom we will see is called Jeffrey Piccolo, who's unfortunately a widower now because of something that happened in a restaurant, I believe, inside of a Walt Disney resort. Let's keep reading. Disney is facing a wrongful death lawsuit filed against them by Jeffrey Piccolo. His wife died of an allergic reaction after eating at a restaurant in Disney Springs. In October 2023, Piccolo visited Disney Springs at the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. Moreover, his wife and mother were accompanying him. The wife was a 42-year-old doctor from New York. She died due to an allergic reaction shortly after eating at Raglan Road, a restaurant at Disney Springs. So already this is a tragic situation that happened, as we see in Florida, at a restaurant that I'm not sure if it was owned by Disney, but there must be some kind of connection to Disney if now Disney that is being included into this lawsuit. So already, as we can see, we're talking about a catastrophic failure when it comes to the sort of measurements that this restaurant should have had in place for people that have severe levels of allergies, and this didn't happen. So already my heart goes to the family that has been destroyed due to this. But of course, accountability is what you look for, I imagine, after the period of grieving that probably they're still going through. I don't think that's something you can process easily when your life is changed before lunch to after lunch in a way that is unrecognizable now. Still, someone made a massive mistake and someone has to be held accountable, whether it be the parent company that is owning the land or whether it be the restaurant in itself. Someone has to pay for this. So let's keep reading. As per Piccolo, the restaurant did not pay heed to Tang Xuan's dairy and nut allergies. Following this, in February 2024, he filed a lawsuit against Walt Disney Parks and Resorts. According to the BBC News, he sought in excess of 50,000 plus legal costs. Now, I would like to underline this. Look at this amount of money here. Now, $50,000 for me, for most of you, is a massive amount of money. But for Disney, this is pennies on the dollar. Let's remember that Disney is a multi-billion company, and therefore, for them, a 50,000 plus legal cost amount, once again, it's nothing. However, Disney reportedly claims that signing up for the Disney Plus streaming service means that the person cannot file a lawsuit. So let me get this straight. Disney's lawyers, they're not saying, hey, this wasn't Disney's fault because they own this Disney Springs, but it's not their fault because it's the fault. They're not trying to shift the blame to the restaurant, which at least as a legal strategy would have had a minimum of decency behind it. Oh, no, 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 no. They are saying, Mr. Piccolo, your wife died in our property? Well, you subscribe to Disney Plus, mate, so sorry if you didn't read all of those like 60 pages that every human on the planet scrolls through and doesn't read. Kind of teaches you a lesson, doesn't it? Oh, we're sorry you didn't read the whole thing, but very, very small, in small print at the very end, what we wrote in a language, aka legalese, that most likely you weren't even able to understand fully, what we wrote, by subscribing to a 3-month trial of Disney Plus, you can't sue us anymore, you can't take us to court, no matter what. Why a company is allowed to do this? And it's not even that. If you had any doubt, as I've been saying for all of these years, that these companies have zero honor, no decency, and they're absolutely money-printing machines that care nothing for their user base, here is your proof. And I've been saying this for years. Every time that I looked at the likes of Netflix, the likes of, as you see, Disney, every time that I said, hey, this historical character is actually white, why are they changing it into a black person? Or conversely, if they did the opposite, I would complain all the same. This has always been my line on argumentation. I've always said they're not doing it because they care. They do not care about actual people, representation, inclusivity, minorities. They don't care about that. They're only doing it because it's a means to an end. They do not care. And to that, I've always been attacked by saying, oh, you're a racist, that's why you don't like Disney, or you don't like Netflix, and most of the times that was what I was focusing my videos on, which, by the way, is not a line of argumentation. And it only shows that these people do not have the ability to present something that is an intelligent point of conversation to use for a possible debate in order for us to find the truth, which is the ancient Greek way of approaching debates. But no, they just attack you because they need to protect Disney at all costs, or all these companies at all costs. Now we have proof. I was right all along about these companies. They do not care about the single end user. All they care about is whatever agenda they've been told to push, and for whatever reason they've been told to do it, and here we are. If you're enjoying this video so far, please take a moment to check out my Patreon page. With as little as a $5 support, you can help us ensure that we can continue to produce high quality and high researched content. And at the same time, you get access to polls, extra videos, unlisted streams, and much more. Thank you so much. Jeffrey Piccolo reportedly believes he signed up only for a free trial of Disney Plus and cancelled before being charged. Meanwhile, Disney has a different take on the same. They claim that the terms agreement while signing up for their service states that users agree to settle any disputes with the company through arbitration. There we go. I did not understand anything of this sentence because I'm not a lawyer. And can you really imagine the everyday person? I mean, Disney, oh my gosh, these companies, oh, they care about the people, the small family that doesn't have much money, do they? Because they literally put you in a position where if you don't hire an expensive lawyer to read through all of these pages and pages of legalese, you won't be able to understand what you're signing. This means that no disputes can be taken to court. So this is their response to a family that has been destroyed. Their lives are over, literally for the wife, and symbolically, metaphorically, and mentally for the widower. And the mum, I mean, his mum was with it. Can you imagine that? I can't even I feel so bad for this family. I hope they do a crowdfunding, because I'd be more than happy to share it on my platform to help them out. So, Mr. Piccolo, if you do end up watching this, please let me know if you have a crowdfunding, because I would absolutely join in. Albeit, Disney mentioned in a statement, oh yes, please, here's the PR department, get ready. We are deeply saddened by the family's loss and understand their grief. Really. Given that this restaurant is neither owned nor operated by Disney, that's what they really want to say, we are merely defending ourselves against the plaintiff's attorney's attempt to include us in their lawsuit against the restaurant. If that were the case, this would have been your line of defense. Not, oh well, but you clicked the thing, boo-hoo, it's on you, it's your fault, ha ha ha, got you, which is what they are doing instead. This is so false. This is so evil that I don't even have words. I'm a linguist. I don't have words on how to describe it. And I've seen people online defending with Disney, given it's a very small minority of lobotomized individuals, but I've seen people saying something in the lines of, oh well, it's the family's fault for gambling with their lives. You absolute idiots. This husband and wife are absolutely innocent. What were they supposed to do? Never go to a restaurant for the rest of their lives? This is not what people with allergies do. And I mean, I'm someone who used to work as a waiter, and I did that for a few years. And the first thing we would do was to ask for allergies and write it all down and make sure that the chef got the note, and then double check before we would serve that specific table. I mean, that's what you do. And in this case, they told them not once, but twice, in the sense that, by the way this has been reported, they told the waiters, they told the restaurant, first of all, they chose this restaurant because it was famous for being very capable to serve people with allergies. That was the thing about this restaurant. That's why they chose it. Regardless of that, they told multiple times, hey, my wife has a severe dairy and nuts allergy, so can we make sure that, there is none of that in the food? And then once the food was delivered, they asked again, are we sure that this, because of course people that have this sort of allergies, again, I'm no doctor, so just take this with a pinch of salt, but the way I understand it is not just a matter of, hey, if you put literally a mozzarella cheese in my plate, I'll die. It's not just that, but sometimes if you're using the same oil that has been used already to fry food that contained allergens, then that already can be enough, depending on how severe of an allergy this is, to literally send you to the hospital and for you to pass away. And I do have a friend who has a form of allergy specifically to green peas and broad beans, and he almost died because, something like this happened once. So allergies are absolutely something that needs to be taken extremely serious in all the measures that the restaurants and professionals need to put into place to safeguard, because at that very specific moment when that family is sitting in your restaurant, then they are putting their lives in your hands, regardless of whether from the point of view of a legal system, this is indeed something that should pertain to Disney because it's their property, I suppose, the whole Disney resort, or if it's a problem that goes into the individual restaurant owner, regardless of what the law says, because remember, just because something is legal doesn't necessarily mean that it's moral or ethical, what have you, but what really we have to agree on, all of us, is that the family is absolutely innocent and they did nothing wrong. The idea of putting blame onto the family, whether it be directly by telling them, oh, it's your fault, you were gambling with your life, or indirectly by telling the husband, oh, well, it's your, sorry, but you could have, I mean, brought us to court and had us pay your $50,000, but now you can't because you signed up, and this is to the Disney Plus. This is so evil. I can't think of any other word to describe it. Can you? To continue, after reading what Disney's lawyer said, we read, Disney says the Piccolo agreed to their terms when he used Disney Plus account to purchase tickets to the theme park. That is absolutely insane. This is corporate nonsense. Corporate nonsense. And according to Time magazine, John Davison, director of litigation at the Electronic Privacy Information Center, also commented on the matter. He said, the consumer is presented with this contract and really doesn't have an opportunity to negotiate the terms. It's yes or no. This case is a reminder of the importance of reading thoroughly when agreeing to the terms and conditions of service. Well, I would say it's a reminder to never have anything to do with Disney ever again. This is what this is a reminder of when it comes to me. Now, going back to this idea, kind of expanding a little bit on what I mean when I say that these companies are evil, when they change things and rewrite history in the sense of what Netflix is doing, for example, with the documentary Cleopatra, but also with Disney when it comes to swapping specific characters that belong to the European mythological system, whether it be Snow White or whether it be Little Mermaid. And I know that some of you might be frowning upon this and you're thinking, yeah, but what is the big deal about swapping a German fairy tale such as Snow White? And let me tell you why. So let me present my point before you call me racist. And then after I presented my point, if you have a strong line of argumentation and you counter my argument in an intelligent way, I'll absolutely review your comment, read and respond. But I would like to first present my point. Snow White is a German fairy tale. Little Mermaid is a Danish fairy tale, of course, based on the book by Hans Andersen. I have two reasons. The main reason why I find the race swapping or the ethnic swapping of these characters annoying, not dangerous, but annoying, is the following. I think it's insulting. Now let me expand on who this is insulting towards. Well, of course, it's insulting towards white people because there is no reason to remove these characters, since Disney has been an extremely diverse company when it comes to their princesses, and nobody ever complained about them having the likes of Aladdin, for example, and Jasmine, who were clearly not white people. They are Middle Eastern after all, and there have been several princesses that were either Asian or African, and no one ever complained about it. So they already show that they can absolutely create princesses and characters so that you have representation on screen, which by the way I have nothing against. There is no reason to take a German and a Danish legend and turn them into a different ethnic group for the sake of representation, and that is why that's insulting towards white people. But my strongest point to this is that it's insulting, point number two, to people of color. How is it insulting to people of color? Well, when you take a tale such as The Little Mermaid, which once again is a Northern European fairy tale, and you race swap it into a black mermaid, you are specifically telling African people, Asian people, all sorts of people of color that their mythology means nothing, that they need European mythology, which is the only one apparently that makes sense and it's interesting and entertaining to the public, and it's the only one that I suppose makes money, and then you need to introduce a character and change their original skin tone. Because if you don't do that, well, who cares about the mythology? It's so insulting to people of color and their own original mythologies, because you're telling them that their mythology is inferior to ours. So I know that because of my argumentation points, if you are, for example, in my audience, if you're quite conservative, you already agree with me anyways. But even if you're liberal, even if you are a left-winger, this very last point should annoy you. I find this extremely annoying and in fact insulting, to the point that they should be the ones that are getting called racist because of it, not us. And I would like to also briefly address this idea that some people present whenever you say, hey, in the original tale, that's not what the mermaid looks like. And then they tell you, well, yeah, but even the earlier Disney reproduction of the book from the 1980s has already been changed quite a lot, because the original was quite dark. And that's one of the things that they present as a counter-argument to the idea of preserving what the tale actually says. And the other thing is that some people say that in the original book, the Little Mermaid actually had green skin. So let me reply to these two very quickly. The first one is quite simple. They had to remove the dark aspects and gory and violent plot sections from the book because it's a cartoon for kids. So you had to adapt it to children. It is what it is. It's kind of a stupid line of argumentation to be like, oh, if you really cared about preserving the tale how it is, then you should have her tongue been ripped off by the witch, because that's what happens here. But no, because I don't want to traumatize children for the rest of their lives. So that is very stupid. Of course you need to remove that and adapt it to the children. The second one about the green skin, which the first time I read it, I was actually really green skin, because whenever I think of green skin, I think of Warhammer, orcs and goblins. So I was like, that's really weird. Is it really? Because I didn't remember that. So I looked it up and I checked the actual book, and they're wrong. The only reason why they say that the Little Mermaid had green skin is because there is one passage where in the description we are told that her skin is similar to the leaves of a rose, if I remember correctly, but it's only talking about tactile, like the way it feels. But when it comes to the actual color, this is what they say. This is how Anderson describes the Little Mermaid. It says that she has white skin, and not only he says it at first when she's still half a creature, half fish, half human, and as he's describing her hands and arms, I think it's when she's touching the boat of the humans at the very beginning, we are told that her skin was white, but then even after transformation, we are told that her legs and feet were white. So both points are absolutely moot. All in all, the point that I'm trying to drive home in this case is that these big companies, make no mistake, care nothing for minorities, care nothing for real representation, inclusivity, being nice to people that are struggling, because who's struggling the most than a family who's recently experienced a death and a husband who's grieving his wife? Do they care about them? No. All they care about is the $50,000 that they do not want to give to this family, even though for them, it's just pennies on the dollar. All right, number ones, but let me know what you think about this. I really wanted to talk about it because I think we need to sort of raise awareness when it comes to these companies and really point the finger at them. So if you have a Disney Plus subscription, I strongly recommend, unless you want to waive your right to any day take them to court, to tell your friends, don't sign up.